Hey everybody, Chris Lukey here. Welcome to part 2 of my 5-part Mindset Masterclass. And in our last video, we talked a lot about this conversation about mindset because for a lot of people, mindset has become a lot of white noise lately, right? Especially if you don't understand what the true meaning of mindset is. It's the settings of your mind, and we all have settings that either are working for us or for against us. But mindset is truly about this. It's about personal transformation. And it's the transformation piece a lot of people don't understand. It's about learning what can you do to change the patterns of thinking that you've probably been living with for a really, really long time that you know don't serve you well. And when we change those patterns of thinking, we can actually see that it's changing the structures of our brain. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this extraordinary technology that sits between your ears today. And the reason why we spend so much time getting into how all this works is because when you understand there is an actual step-by-step process of how your mind operates, of how you can become a phenomena in this world, how you can truly create life by design and not by default, we're going to tap into your greatness. We're going to ignite your greatness. I call it living your powerful, limitless life. Because if you've ever studied great people, successful people, every time one of them had a turning point in their lives, they began to understand how to change their thinking. Because what got you here is not going to get you there. They understand it's not when you finally figure out your podcast. It's not when you figure out how to build a funnel. It's not even that I've dialed in my messaging. It's not even when you figured out what your purpose or what your passion is. It's when they learned how to change their thinking that they were able to permanently change their lives. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk a little bit more about this extraordinary technology between your ears, how the brain works, and how it's related to your beliefs. So probably I'm not the first person to speak to you about your beliefs or limiting beliefs. And as we talked about in the last video, there's a lot of common limiting beliefs. And some of those are, it's not uncommon for us feeling not good enough, or not far as long as I should be, or not have enough time, or maybe I should be doing more, right? All these are not necessarily true. These are beliefs, but they're limiting in the sense because they move us into a state of being that doesn't feel well. You don't feel good. They take us out of our creativity. They take us out of our inspiration. We lose our personal power. And ultimately, they don't serve us in our life. So where do these limiting beliefs come from? Well, I'm going to teach you a little bit about Neuroscience 101 today. I promise not to bore you because this is fascinating stuff. We as adults, we have a conscious mind. We have a subconscious mind. We have a body. And we have these things that I call data collectors. But when we're born, we have no conscious awareness. The conscious mind is not fully formed yet. All you have when you're a baby is a subconscious mind. This is important. Why is this important to understand? Because your subconscious mind is the powerhouse that drives your entire life for your life. It has no ability to think. Your subconscious mind just accepts whatever you plant in it. It's the iCloud of your life. It's where all your habits and beliefs are stored. We call them paradigms. So you actually don't start developing your conscious mind till around the age of 7 or 8. And your conscious mind, it's the educated mind. Your conscious mind gives you the ability to think. It gives you ability to choose. Your conscious mind gives you the ability to accept or reject ideas. It gives you the ability to create. But since your conscious mind's not formed as a baby, because by the time it's not actually formed until you're about between 7 and 8 years old, what's happened is you've built out this massive neural network in your subconscious mind, and the programming is set. You have been programmed. I have been programmed. We've all been programmed. Because what's happened is, on a moment-by-moment basis, since you made your grand debut in this world, your subconscious mind is a hard drive, and it's been recording every experience that you've had since the moment you were born. You literally have a filing cabinet and all kinds of files. We call them paradigms, habits, and beliefs, personal iCloud, right? So through these incredible data collectors that you've been giving, which are called your five senses, what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, they are attached to your conscious mind. Your five senses are attached to your conscious mind. But since your conscious mind is not formed yet, you're detecting and pulling in all this information as a baby, and it gets sent directly to your subconscious mind, and you're able to perceive what's going on around you, and your brain is recording those experiences on a moment by moment basis, just like an iCloud, just like a computer. This is important to understand because your subconscious mind has no ability to think. It has no ability to accept or reject. Your subconscious mind has no ability to choose. It only accepts what's planted in it. And since your conscious awareness hasn't developed yet, everything's getting dumped into your subconscious mind. And so maybe when you were 4 or 5 years old, you had this experience. The experience was your parents were arguing about something. You heard them arguing behind a closed door, and you were recording all this information when you were young, right? And what happened is, as you're recording that information, you gave a meaning to that experience. So maybe the experience was this. Maybe you heard them arguing about money, that money was hard to make, or that success and wealth wasn't meant for you. They were meant for other people, not for us. And it's not necessarily true. It's a meaning that you gave an experience when you were 4 or 5 years old. But what's happened is it actually got stored in your subconscious mind, and it became a part of who you are. And so the next moment that you experience something like money, your brain goes, what do we know about this thing? And it immediately goes, money's hard to make. Or money comes and it doesn't stay very long. Or maybe business is really, really hard. Tried it once, failed, didn't succeed at it. Maybe relationships never work out. Maybe you can't trust people. So we end up living the same original experience over and over and over again. It's like the Bill Murray movie, Groundhog Day. We live the same day over and over again until at some point in your life, you realize that you no longer have to agree with the meaning anymore. Does that make sense? So these limiting beliefs, the meaning that you gave an experience at a time when you don't even remember it, it's perpetuating itself into your present day reality. And so anywhere where you're feeling stuck in your life, what's actually happening is you're continuing to bring this limiting belief into your future from the past. So we're going to talk to you today about how do you change that. But hold on to that thought for a moment. We're going to talk about what limiting beliefs really are. They're not some sort of marshmallow, fluffy cloud concept. Limiting beliefs are real. You're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. It's actually a file that's been stored in a filing cabinet deep in your subconscious mind, and it represents a meaning that you gave from an experience a long time ago. Maybe such as people don't like me, or what are people going to think of me? Or maybe I'm not as far along as I should be. So the problem with limiting beliefs, and there's no judgment around them, if you want to feel not good enough, or you want to feel like there's not enough time, or you're not as far along as you should be, that is absolutely fine. That's not good or bad. Do not feel less or do not feel shame. There's no criticism. Just notice what you notice, right? There's no criticism to your patterns of thinking because nobody taught you how to deal or cope with these patterns of thinking, how to change these patterns of thinking, right? There's no criticism behind it. But the problem is this: your brain is a goal-achieving machine. That's why you're having these inner conflicts. You got old limiting beliefs pulling into your present. You no longer agree with them, and you want to achieve something else. Now there's a resistance. And so what your brain is constantly trying to do, it's trying to bring into reality and prove out what you believe from the past. So if you believe, for example, that you are a poor communicator because something happened a long time ago in grade school, where you gave the meaning to an experience, and maybe the experience was this: I'm a poor communicator, you will actually become a poor communicator. Because on a moment by moment basis, what's actually happening is your brain is trying to achieve this goal for you, but whatever you assume to be true, whatever you believe to be true, your mind will seek out evidence to prove you right. And so you may be confused in a way that you're interpreting something. The words may not come out of your mouth in a way that you would like them to. You actually become a poor communicator, and that's how powerful your brain is, because it's trying to establish and prove whatever it is that you believe. So if you believe dogs are dangerous, and remember the example I gave you in lesson 1, I had a bad experience with a dog. So when you experience a dog in the future, your brain will ignore all the evidence of the dog being friendly or kind. It will only focus on the moments of the dog and interpret dogs as dangerous. So part of this game of having an extraordinary life, creating an amazing business, being a successful entrepreneur, and I wouldn't even say part of it, because we now know for a fact, mindset is 95% of this game. It's 95% mindset, 5% strategy. It's about identifying the limiting beliefs that you have and learning to how to transform them into empowering beliefs. Because as long as these beliefs continue to persist for you, and remember, we're just talking about existing out there, they exist in your brain. Your brain is going to constantly try to actually bring these limiting beliefs into your current reality. So your brain is a goal-achieving machine. That's why there's an inner conflict. That's why there's a resistance. That's why you feel the way you do. It's normal. So what do we do? What do we do? How do we change these limiting beliefs? Well, when you believe that you're not good enough, you will start actually experiencing a life of not being good enough. When you believe there's not enough time, you're going to actually experience always being rushed. When you believe you're not a good communicator, you're going to experience people not understanding what you're trying to say. Because not because you're not a poor communicator, not because you're not good enough, not because there's not enough time, but simply you believe it to be true. And so therefore, you start to interpret reality the way it starts, and it starts becoming your life. So what do we do to change these limiting beliefs? Well, and this is one of the areas that I struggled with in my life for a long time, even as I started to get into mindset, even as I started becoming a personal development coach. How do you change what you believe? Because there's this 2mm distinction that I realized a number of years ago, which really helped me reclaim my power. And it's this: beliefs are decisions. So yeah, maybe the first time around when you overheard mom and dad arguing about money, you unconsciously came to the conclusion that money was hard to earn, or money was hard to make, or that money causes problems and leads to arguments. But what happened is that over time, you continue to decide at an unconscious level that that's the case. Now, if you go back to the last video, we talked about this thinking that's always taking place. You've allowed it to occur without even questioning it. Habitual patterns, the programming. And so we may not know how to believe something different than what we believe in the past, right? You might not know, how do I believe something different than what I've always believed in? You may not know how to believe that people actually love you if you believe you're not lovable, you're not likable, right? But here's all you have to do. All we have to do is make a new decision. It's that simple. I mean, you decided that you were going to date somebody, and then you decided you weren't going to date him anymore. You decided you were working at a job that you didn't like, so you decided to quit and get a new job. So I want you to start applying to this conversation around transformation, around mindset, is to not so much use the language of beliefs, but to realize beliefs are decisions. And you are deciding something to be true, and your brain will always find evidence to prove you right. So on a moment by moment basis, you have the opportunity to make a new decision. It's that easy. Now, in the next video, I'm going to talk to you a whole lot about a power of a decision. And what actually happens is when you are present to the fact that there's this thinking that's always taking place, notice what you notice what you're thinking. I'm not good enough, or there's not enough time, or that I'm not as far as long as I should be. And you realize that this is just a belief, and that this thinking is always taking place, and all these beliefs, all the beliefs are just decisions. And you have the opportunity to make a new decision. You have the opportunity, you can decide, I am good enough. I have plenty of time to achieve the things I want to achieve. You can decide that money is easy to make and it flows to me in abundance. So what happens is when you make new decisions, in the next video, we're going to get into that. What happens when you make new decisions? It's called the power of a decision. And it's a powerful piece of this framework. It's going to allow you to open up all kinds of new possibilities and opportunities in your life. So I already asked you to do this, but I want you to get vulnerable. I want you to be honest and open, because that's how transformation happens. You have to get really real with yourself. Put in the comments what beliefs that you have that you think are holding you back, right? Put in the comment below. Identify what limiting beliefs you have, what patterns of thinking that aren't serving you well. What would you like your new belief to be? And in the next video, we're going to go over the power of a decision.